Welcome back here to Inside the MAC. We're going to talk some football here. We got a little bit of basketball on the docket, but mainly football on the topic. MACtion weeknight stuff just finished up. We got one game Saturday between Ball State and Toledo, but I want to look at last night's games. First, Miami of Ohio takes down Buffalo 37-20. Central beats Kent State 28-16. Looking back to Tuesday night, Akron finishes their season. They're done for the year. Finished 5-7. They beat Bowling Green 19-16. Western 35-19 over Northern Illinois, and Ohio over UMass 42-14. Which Parker Navarro only threw for 28 yards in that game, which is kind of crazy to think. But they ran the ball efficiently. Watched both the games last night. Miami of Ohio went with something that I thought Henry Hessen was going to start. He didn't. They gave it to Thomas Gotkowski, I think that's how you say it. He finished 13-23, 185 and a score. They ran for a total of 162. Jordan Brunson, the load of that with 123 yards. Taquan Robertson, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. They were not able to get a rushing game going at all. They had 33 carries, 46 yards total. Terrence Shelton and L.J. Henderson, 8 and 7 carries apiece, 27, 22 yards. Not much to see there. You know, in the departure of DEQUAN Finn after last week's game, was curious if Hessen was going to get the start. He didn't. He was 0 for 2, and then Gotkowski was the main guy last night. And, you know, he looked pretty solid. He didn't make mistakes, which was the big thing. You know, coming off a 3-interception game, we didn't see that. And a big win on the road for Miami of Ohio. The Central Kent State game, couple interesting things here. Central didn't run the ball great. Average 4 yards a carry, 43 carries, 174 yards. But I expected more out of them. But their defense really, really shined. They just, I mean, the sacks alone, 4 sacks, 11 TFLs for the team. Kent State didn't have a super answer going forward in that. They were throwing. Drew Shields was throwing the ball around pretty well, but he was getting just pressured. But once again, we saw Kent State special teams kind of coming in to a big moment. Another return for a touchdown off a punt return, not Darius Clark this time, believe it or not. Then we go back. Akron finishing the season early. Obviously, they were bowl ineligible to begin with, but they finished the year 5-7, 4-4 in the MAC. And all in all, you know, considering what Akron was facing going into the season, not a bad year. Not a bad year at all. And then Western, a little bit of a nerve-wracker. Not too bad, I'd say, at any point. But, I mean, you go into it 14-13 at halftime against a team that you should be beating. You know, there were question marks there. Ohio handled UMass just fine. UMass is poised to go 0-12. So that'll be an interesting one. We're going to look at the conference standings. Obviously, there's still Toledo Ball State to take place, but taking a look at what we got in the standings right now. Western, they win out, they're in. Ohio sitting at 5-2. Central sitting at 5-2. Miami of Ohio sitting at 5-2. Ohio plays Buffalo next week. Buffalo is essentially out of it, barring all kinds of miracles. Central has Toledo. That's a game that could be, you know, a big deciding factor for who's in and who's not. Miami of Ohio finishes with Ball State, probably going to finish 6-2 in the conference. So it's interesting. Western's got Eastern. That's a game they should win. I think they do win. You know, Ohio with Buffalo. Buffalo could play the spoiler. They're on the road, but I like the Bobcats in that one. Central Toledo. Toledo is legitimate. And that's what's kind of the frustrating thing for a team that's sitting at 6-4 total, 4-2 in the conference, is they are legitimate. They're just not. They haven't produced the way they should have. They haven't been consistent the way they need to be. But I think what happens is if Toledo beats Central, I think they're in. I could be wrong. Actually, I don't know. It'll come down to between them and Ohio. If Ohio wins and Toledo wins, I think I don't actually know what that goes to. It might go to points 4, in which case Toledo would be in over Ohio and over Miami. They have the tiebreaker over Miami, Ohio, because they beat them. That's an interesting situation. So let's say Ohio, Miami, Ohio, and Toledo all win. Okay, Western, if they win, they're in. Then it would come down to Toledo has a tiebreaker with Miami, Ohio. Miami, Ohio, and Central didn't play, so it's interesting. I think it goes to points 4, which Central has over Miami, Ohio. Ohio has over Miami, Ohio. So here's what needs to happen. If for Miami, Ohio to get in, I think they need Toledo for sure to lose. They probably need Ohio to also lose to Buffalo, which is tough. But I mean, this is what MACtion's all about, and this is what makes this conference so great. It's just so much fun. Looking at bowl eligibility, Western, Ohio, Central, Miami, Ohio, Toledo are all in. Buffalo will get knocked out if they lose next week to Miami, Ohio. Ball State has to win out to get in, and that's the rest of them. UMass final game of the season against Bowling Green. Both teams are, I mean, UMass is putting together one of the worst seasons we've ever seen in college football. And Bowling Green, since injuries, has just kind of fallen apart a bit. So it is interesting to see. I'm going to see if I can find any bowl projections to see what it's shaping up to look like. And we look after week 12, so college football playoff obviously has all of that in store. We want the complete bowl season. It's just two guys guessing on things. One, we have the first MAC team we see, December 16th in the Salute to Veterans Bowl, Western Michigan versus East Carolina. That'd be a good game, 9 p.m. game. Then we go to the next Cure Bowl. Also, this is on Wednesday, December 17th, Central Michigan versus Arkansas State. That could be a fun one. They also have Buffalo versus Old Dominion in the projections. I mean, Buffalo's got to win next week to get in. Then we go to the 68 Ventures Bowl. We see two teams here. Coastal Carolina is the same, but one has them versus Buffalo, one has versus Central. Could be good games all around. Famous Idaho Potato Bowl. We see Toledo versus UNLV, and then Ohio versus UNLV. UNLV is a good game and a good team, so that'd be a fun matchup for both of those schools. That'd be a good game. That's on Monday, December 22. That'd be a 2 p.m. game. 2 p.m. bowl season. Why not? Why not? Then we got the Game Above Sports Bowl on Friday, December 6th, the day after Christmas. Rutgers is the same team in both of these. One has them versus Ohio. One has them versus Western Michigan. I think if Western wins it, they could get a decent bowl poll. It's first time we're seeing Miami of Ohio pop up. Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. Miami of Ohio versus Fresno. We also see Toledo versus Fresno in that one. That would be on, looks like January 1st December 27th. Okay. And that might be it. Michigan versus Vanderbilt in the Citrus Bowl. That could be a fun game. Yeah, that looks like that's it. So, I mean, I don't think one of the guys had Western. Maybe he did, and I just didn't see it. Salute to Veterans Bowl and Sports Bowl. Okay, so, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. There's one guy only have. Oh, okay. No, he's got Iowa Tennessee in the ReliaQuest Bowl. So, there's going to be some good MACtion bowling. It's been a season that, it's been exciting as a viewer. One thing the MAC doesn't do to help themselves, the way that the Mountain West is and the American is, if you're trying to get a team in the playoffs, I get, selecting the money, taking big payouts to play these big schools. But, looking at Western, who's going to probably win the regular season title. North Texas, game they could have won, but they played 9th-ranked Illinois. They played Michigan State. There's just, not really a need for that. And then you flip the coin. Let's go to the American Conference, as I believe Tulane is a right now a prospect to get in. I mean, they're non-conference. Northwestern, Duke, South Alabama. They did play Ole Miss. You go to North Texas, who's lost one on the season. They played Lamar, Western, obviously, Washington State. So I get it. I get them taking the money, but at some point you wanna see the MAC try and even contend in a playoff. Because I not that Toledo could have done it, or Western could have done it, or Ohio could have done it, but looking at Toledo's non-conference, Kentucky, the Western Kentucky, Morgan State they beat, and then Washington State they fell to. So Toledo had a schedule to actually do it. I take back what Toledo had a schedule to do it. They decided to be very inconsistent this season, and that's kind of the name of the game this year. And that's MACtion. That's what the conference is about. Changing tunes a bit. I posted about this yesterday, might have been 2 days ago, but DEQUAN Finn, wanted to just touch on that real quickly. I think it was the wrong move. Obviously, we wish DEQUAN Finn the best. He was so fun to watch for Toledo, did his thing at Baylor a little bit, and then came back to Miami of Ohio, and he was playing okay. I didn't think he was having a great season by any means, but I think this was the wrong decision. You're contending for a conference championship. Yeah, you need a lot right to get into it. You're going to make a bowl game. You already got your 6th. They got the 6th win last night, but you were contending anyway. I don't get it. If you're a guy that he's not showing up on a lot of draft boards or anything like that, so it is questionable to me why he made that decision. I can't fault him. I'm not in the shoes, but I want a more the reflection on the landscape of college football. You hear that all the time. Landscape of NIL and college football. NIL, yes, brings with it good things. Guys aren't getting illegally paid. They're not taking wins away. Players are able to take right of their name and likeness. But it's not even that. Let's stop pretending that this whole thing was to give the players what they deserve. It's never been that. It's so that they could just pay the players over the table, not have to worry about it. I mean, Michigan has a $10 million quarterback. There's no one, and it gives you one of the incentives to stay in college football for a while, but it just sets, there's no loyalty. A lot of these, here's the reality of life. The reality of college football is 99% of these guys are not going to the NFL. I mean, there's 224 guys taken in the draft. That's how that works. 224 guys taken in the draft, and then you have, probably, let's say 200 to 300 undrafted free agents. Could be more, could be less. That's a ballpark. I'm just whatever. Of those guys, not everyone's making the team. So let's just call it an even 300 of guys that come from college football that I would even say they make it through. I'd say I would go 230 of guys that go from college and make it to an NFL roster by the start of week 1. Okay? And that's not much when you consider there's 133, 136 FBS teams. Then you got all D2, FCS, D3, and guys are getting taken out of there. So you're really looking at a landscape of 600 to 700 college teams, and how many are making it out? And not many are. So if you're not a highly touted guy, what makes you decide to quit on your team? Because that's not going to give you better draft stock. No one wants to see. They want to see loyalty, because that loyalty is more of a thing in the NFL right now than it is in the college game, and that's crazy to say. I love college football. I think the biggest thing that has ruined it is conference realignment. It's terrible. I hate the Big Ten. I think having Oregon and Washington and USC and UCLA is silly. I don't get the reasoning behind that. And then you look at news came out yesterday that Michigan is looking to, in 2036, when all their stuff is up, possibly go independent. And Michigan fans have ripped on Notre Dame for being independent. Get rid of the conferences altogether at that point. Like that's where I stand. If it's going to be this nonsense conference realignment that has nothing to do with location, nothing to do with anything. The Mountain West is taking their best and moving them to the new Pac-12, which will still be a Group of 5 team, and it's silly. It is absolute silliness. It's not. It might be making more money, but I don't know if it truly is a difference maker, and I could be wrong on that. I hate the conference realignment. I don't Northern Illinois leaving the Mountain West. I think is silly. Why are you taking a team from the Midwest and moving them to play teams basically on the West Coast and that region? But I'm not making these decisions. College football has changed so much in the last several years. I mean, NIL is a big part of it, but the bigger part of it is conference realignment and the transfer portal and all of this. It's becoming at some point you got to reflect, and the whole point I was making with the guys that don't go to the NFL is at some point we got to remember they're college students. They're trying to get a degree, and I know, trust me, I know what that looks like at the college level for some guys about not going to class, not doing their work. That is a real reality of college football. It has been that way for eternity. I think it's changed. I would say about 10 years ago there was a shift in, you got to actually do some schoolwork, and we've seen with certain schools that don't allow you to fall behind in classes and anything like that. But what now you're seeing is transferring academically can be difficult. And obviously, if you're a quarterback leaving from school A to school B, they're going to take care of you. But at the same time, it's still difficult because you got to worry about credits transferring and what do you have to do? What are the prerequisites for this school? And it's so much change, and you got guys that are there for 3 months. We're about to see when that first portal window opens here in about a month. Guys that got there in August, or guys that got there at the end of spring ball, which is basically the end of the school year in college. Guys that have been in this school for 3 months are about to leave. And that's a weird precedent that we're setting. To me, it either become its own entity, stop calling it college football. I don't know. I could talk about this for hours because it genuinely does frustrate me. But that's just where I sit on that whole thing. Speaking of, I did see. I want to confirm the accuracy of this because I did. Yeah. Okay. So he did flip. Tommy Carr, one of the best recruits. I think he might actually been the number one recruit from Ohio. Saline quarterback here in Michigan. Very, very good player. Like, don't get me wrong. He is Michigan caliber, I'd say. He's a 3-star quarterback. I'm sorry, but a wild move. And I don't know who's advising. Maybe he grew up a Michigan fan and that's a dream, but you have a true freshman quarterback that's a $10 million man. I don't think Bryce Underwood is leaving. So you're going to come in as a freshman, probably have to redshirt. And then Bryce Underwood still has another year before he can even go pro. So now he's a junior. You're a redshirt freshman. You're still backing him up. And then here's, maybe Bryce Underwood leaves for the NFL after his junior year. He's going to have to start improving. But Michigan's offense doesn't display a quarterback that gives him opportunity to leave early. You just don't have enough film. We saw the J.J. McCarthy, and he's been very hit or miss at the Vikings right now, but it's hard to tell how good a Michigan quarterback is with the style of offense they play. So, and I mean, you even saw this a little bit back in the Alabama Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry days where it's like A.J. McCarron, it put up good numbers, better than Bryce Underwood by far, but same time, it's hard to tell. You have that good of a team, you have that good of a running game. Are you a great quarterback or are you a product of your circumstances kind of a thing? So it's interesting. I think that flip was interesting. I don't see him staying at Michigan more than maybe a year or two. I'd say I'd give it 2 and I could see him transferring because here's the thing. If Bryce Underwood comes back for his senior season, now you're a redshirt sophomore. They already have another quarterback coming in this class who I think is a higher star quarterback than Tommy Carr is. I don't know. I mean, that's awesome. That's sweet of him to get. There's actually an article about his flip. I mean, he is the grandson of Lloyd Carr, And obviously, CJ is his older brother. This is his dream scenario. He's been a Michigan fan all of his life. Okay, yep. Offensive coordinator Chip Lindsey made a connection with him right when he got here, started talking to me and building that relationship. Texted and called him when this opportunity finally came. I jumped on it. He's been great. It's been great to get to know him. He's a great coordinator and coach, someone I want to play for. Carr won't likely play for much of his first couple seasons with Bryce Underwood in town, but he wants to take time to invest in his future. I'm going to get into that quarterback room and do whatever I can to help the team. They have Bryce Underwood there, but I'm going to do my thing and help him and everyone else in the room. I want to develop. I want to learn the playbook. I want to get better. I just want to prepare and be ready for my opportunity. Okay. I mean, hey, here's the thing. I 100% respect that answer. It's a really good answer. He is a good kid. He's a great football player, great young man. But I just, if playtime's not what you're after, by all means. But I think Tommy Carr is a legitimate quarterback. I saw him coming into Miami of Ohio and possibly starting next year, and possibly that being the platform that leads him to transfer somewhere bigger. But hey, if he wants to hang out at Michigan, he wants to learn and develop, good on him, and that's cool. But it was just an interesting. I didn't really expect to see that flip. I got sent to me last Friday, I think, is when that news came down. But it was just I didn't expect it. But I mean, hey, good for him. We're gonna take a look at basketball. There's been a couple of MAC schools losing to D2. Right now, undefeated Buffalo and Miami of Ohio. Buffalo 5-0, Miami of Ohio 3-0. Kent State's 5-1, Akron 3-1, UMass 3-1, Bowling Green 3-2, Toledo 3-2, and then we got a mess of Ball State, Central, Eastern all 2-2, Northern Illinois sitting at 2-3, Western at 2-3, and Ohio Bobcats at 1-4. Akron has looked good. I mean, Buffalo. They don't really have an impressive win yet. I mean, DePaul's not a bad win by any means. Miami of Ohio, I don't think has really played much. We will be diving deep into basketball season here soon, but it's been fun. I mean, Western lost to a D2. I think it wasn't Akron. I think Ball State also lost to a D2. It's early in the season, man, and it gets fun when you get into conference play. But that's going to wrap it up here on Inside the MAC. We got one game left of football this season. Not this season, excuse me. We got one game left on the week, and that's going to be Toledo Ball State on Saturday. Don't really think that's going to be a close one. That might be a blowout. We'll have to check some of the betting lines on that. Thank you for tuning in here on Inside the MAC.